So thank you for joining us for our affiliate marketing discussion and debate, all about whether or not we believe affiliates are adding incremental value or are they just goal hangers. So in a minute, I'm going to introduce our panel. But first of all, I thought it would be useful to run through who Modo25 and why we're authorised to talk about this topic. So I'm going to quickly sort of run through who we are, and why we believe we've got the authority to talk about that. And then I'm going to introduce our panelists. So and if you want a quick freebie, we specialize in helping people take control of their digital marketing. So if you scan this QR code or email me at askbosco.io, we'll email you the white paper that we did with the drum. All about in-housing your digital marketing, and we did this with TUI, Hertz and Gymshark. So hopefully that can give you some tips if that's something you're thinking about. And again, we can talk about the pros and cons today on whether or not you should be in-housing your affiliate marketing. So the next webinar we're doing, which is on Wednesday the 16th, is all going to be of November. So we've got next month is all about Google, and I suppose the big debate with PMax. So is Google just inventing systems to put up the CPCs, make more money? And we're going to have a big discussion with Dan and Parcels to Go all about that. So Modo25, we help people take control of their digital marketing and support their digital in-house marketing teams. And we've also built some technology called Bosco, which is marketing AI that we've designed to help you make better decisions to drive your profit and growth. So in terms of that, these are the sorts of services we offer. So we normally work with businesses over time to help them manage their digital marketing, get it in shape so that they're in a position to then take that in-house. And we also help with recruitment, strategy, and ongoing support and measurement. And behind that sits our technology team with Bosco, who are a team of data scientists and data analysts and practitioners, and they've written our decision analytics software, which enables people to plan and predict the future. So these are some of the clients we're privileged to work with across many different, from travel through to retail and a lot within the sporting world. But there is a slightly bigger story behind Modo25. When I set the business up with the founder of Skyscanner, Bon, we were both on a charity bike ride, cycling from London to Sydney, and I'm still on that bike ride. Not obviously not right now, but I am still doing the bike ride, and we are currently east of Ankara in Turkey. And we decided when we set this business up, we wanted to do a little bit more. So we donate some of our profits every year to One More Child. And we also, a lot of our team, about a third of our team, donate some of their wages each month to help children in Uganda. And basically, we named the company after one of the children, Modo, and we named our software after one of the gentlemen who runs a charity called Bosco. And there's 280 kids over there who we help clothe, feed, and educate. And so it was slightly more than just digital marketing. But I suppose ultimately the question a lot of marketeers are asking themselves is, where do I invest my next pound? So, and again, it's a difficult question. Really, you don't care where you spend your money as long as it's still delivering you, whether it's ROAS or the ROI that you're looking for. So a lot of people feel they might be gambling with their budget. So what we've done is created a system and a platform to help you attribute success and ultimately measure where you shouldn't be spending your money. And this is what we call our decision analytics platform, Bosco. If any of you do want to have a free trial of Bosco, just message us and we'll get in. We're not going to go into a demo today. We're going to spend today talking all about affiliates. But Bosco could help you measure your affiliates performance and also then compare it against your other channels to enable you to make smarter decisions. So that's a little bit about us. And what I'm going to do in a second is I'm going to get the panel up and let them introduce themselves. So I'm going to just stop sharing. And then I'm going to ask the panel to turn their cameras on. Unfortunately, Lee had a business reason why he can't join us. So we've got Shauna and Claudia, who I'm going to ask to introduce me. And also this is live from Disneyland. So we're taking half an hour out of a family holiday there to get involved in affiliates. So hopefully everybody appreciates that. So if you both could just quickly, Claudia, if you want to go first, introduce yourselves, your background in affiliates, why you sort of authorized to talk about this, that would be great.
Yeah, of course. Thanks, John. So hi, everyone. So as John mentioned, my name is Claudia. I'm part of the affiliate team here at Modo25. So started off working in affiliates at the Hook Group. So working with a lot of their clients on the Ingenuity side, like Number 7 Bets, Bees, LMS, working across lots of different territories. I then moved over to Missguided. So obviously very fast fashion, very fast paced, looking after their UK, Ireland, France, and Germany programs. And then started at Modo in April of this year. Had some great experience working with some really good clients since I started.
Yeah, hi everyone. Thanks for tuning in. Also John for just casually, I don't know, like as a spoiler, saying that I'm in Disney because I tried to find a background that wouldn't give that away, but now everyone knows. So there you go.
I think it's cool, and I think it showed a lot of commitment. So thank you.
You're welcome. Yes, I'm Shanna. I am originally Dutch, but originally back into 2014, started my journey in affiliate marketing, network side, did that for 3 years, and then I switched to agency. I was at iProspect in Newcastle for 2.5 years. Moved client side as well, and these days I work as a team leader at Awin, which I've been doing for the past 2.5 years, and I'm very much enjoying.
Oh, Joe, I think you're on mute. Sorry.
There was someone banging outside, so I thought I'd anyway. So as you can see, this is very casual. I'm going to ask lots of different questions, and we're going to start. We'll go around, and if for whatever reason you don't feel comfortable answering on behalf of Awin, you could always reference other experiences you've had. But I think a lot of people think that affiliates is all just voucher codes or all just discount codes, and I think it's got a bit of a bad rep. And I suppose, why do we think that's happened? Is that the case, or and is where do we see where I suppose the question I'm trying to get across is, where are the people missing opportunities? Because I know lots of retailers don't do affiliates at the moment because they think it is discount codes and cashback. So I suppose, where do you see when we talk to people like that, where do we sort of guide them, and can you do affiliates without that?
Yeah, no, good question. It is something that kind of a lot of clients are starting to come to now, especially trying to kind of save money as well. Because obviously if you're paying out commission to voucher site and also you're giving them a discount, then that's hurting your margin even further. There are lots of different ways to go about that isn't kind of primarily discount and cashback. So there's closed groups, for instance, where you can actually still provide a discount, but only to a very targeted demographic. So publishers such as Blue Light Card, which is obviously NHS workers. There's certain ones just specific to teachers, certain like employee benefit schemes where you can target certain employees and the companies that the employees that work there. So you can be like really, really targeted with that and not just putting out a discount to everybody on say vouchercodes.co.uk. Something that's growing a lot within AWIN, which I'm sure Shanna will agree, is like the influencer side of it as well. So many influencers now that are signing up through AWIN just themselves. So that's a huge opportunity to tap into if that kind of fits with your demographic and with your brand. And there's also a lot of content opportunities through AWIN. So although companies often will have...
I'm going to come on to all those later.
Oh, sorry, I'm getting carried away. Okay.
Yeah, carried away. So we'll come on to influencers, because I think that's a big thing. We'll come on to content. I suppose, Shana, you've obviously got loads of experience in affiliates. Why do you think they had or have a bad reputation? I suppose if you're engaging with a new client, how do you get them over that sort of, well, it's not just discount codes and it's not just voucher codes. Where do you demonstrate the sort of incremental value?
I think especially when we have, like a launch call with a new client, say, either we try and get them on board or the program has been implemented and then it goes live and it kind of comes into my department, which is account management, is that we always just have this launch call with the client. And sometimes, you get all sorts of clients. Some are very experienced, some are completely new to affiliate marketing. So it depends on what type of client you get, on how much you can, I think how you bring the message, I think is the more important thing there. And most of the time, especially if they are like very much like, no, we don't want to work with cashback, no, we don't want to work with voucher codes, is first of all showing them that, like Claudia just said, there are so many different types of affiliates that you can work with that still make it affiliate marketing, and not everyone realizes that they are also part of the journey, but also part of this digital marketing channel. And I think something else that we do aside from that is that, at AWIN we do try and come up with case studies. Sometimes they're internal, but quite often they will be external, which means that we'll have case studies at hand, depending on, whichever question the client hands us, that we can then also send them over. And I have found personally that I think as soon as you share that extra insight, you want to have the insight, you want to have the numbers, any kind of research that you've done. I feel like that's always really good to try and help get clients over the line.
And if any of you watching have got any questions, either stick them onto the LinkedIn page, Facebook page, or into the Q&A below or the chat, and we can take them live. And if there's any left over, we'll follow up with the notes and the video afterwards. There's always a question around incremental value. And there's lots of people saying, well, are you just pinching the sale at the end, and is it last click win? So I suppose, how can we prove it actually is working? So I suppose, Shana, what would you say around that?
I think, around incremental value, I think, again, is that you need to look at not just, affiliate marketing often rewards on last click, but there's a lot more to it than that. Something that we run at AWIN quite often is commission by assist. So we look at other affiliates within the channel that have contributed to generating that sale. This is why you get your multi-touch attribution in place as well. You really want to look at it at a more nitty-gritty level and see what are the different publishers or types of publishers doing, and then adjust your strategy accordingly. So if there's a certain publisher, whether that is a publisher type like content, which you often see, further up the user journey, or maybe a specific publisher that you consistently see as, let's take first click or, assist in this case, by example, is that you'll want to see and consider how you want to weigh up that attribution. Do you want to put the 100% at the last click? Or are you going to say, we're going to do, maybe 80% at the last click, but then whoever has consistently drives a lot of sales, which doesn't get the last click, we will also give them 20% and recognize that they are involved in that, journey as much, I think, as his last click. I I think not everyone always realizes just how complex that user journey.
Yeah, no, I think I'd agree. And I think we've also seen with clients sometimes, not sometimes, quite a lot, it's also first click. And I think everybody automatically assumes that, well, affiliates are just going to help knock them over the line, or it's all about a special offer, or we're sending out an email to a database to promote. And actually, some people go looking for offers in sites. And I think that's something I think some people forget. And I suppose one thing often comes up is people don't want to be paying for existing customers. So can we set up affiliate programs so that we only reward new customers? How would that work if I was a retailer?
Yeah, definitely. So within like the A1 space and another affiliate networking space as well, there are different options. You can set up higher commission for different AOVs on site. You definitely can set it up for new customers as well. If that is a huge focus, it just requires obviously integration and making sure that all of your tracking is set up that you can register new customers on site. But that's a really good way to reward certain publishers to then really push new customers to your website. So content, for instance, can often be kind of a new customer driver. So if the kind of a content partner went in and was to see, oh, I'll get an extra commission if I actually refer a new customer, it just gives them that further incentive to kind of push that content out, because a lot of the time content partners require higher commission because of the work it takes to kind of put a content.
And just for the newbies on the call who maybe aren't familiar with like content partner, what content, give us an example of the sort of content we might publish, how it would feature, and where would our links be, and what sort of things. You can reference an example if you want.
Yeah, of course. I literally had one go live just before this call, so that's good. It was there's an article in the Daily Mail Best Buys for Pavers, one of our clients. So what happened there is basically it's a Best Buys article. So they list about 10 different, this one is like an autumn winter boot article. So they list 10 other retailers and their boots, and have like a little copy, little description about each of the shoes below the link. And what happens is, how the relationship would work is I reached out to the contact of Daily Mail to try and get the article booked in. They then send across what their requirements are. So if they require tenancy budget, so they did actually require a flat fee budget as well as being paid commission. And then we then got sign off from Pavers for which product they wanted to be featured. And then like there was some additional forms to fill in just with, any kind of key call outs that we wanted to make for the product. And then the affiliate link is then, they can then create their own affiliate link within AWIN. That goes directly to that product. So it will all be tracked through them. So we can see in AWIN and also GA exactly how many clicks, how many sales, how many, what their AOV is. So everything is highly trackable. So, which is a huge benefit of using an affiliate network for content rather than perhaps doing it through PR teams, because it's completely trackable through AWIN and GA. So I'll be able to go in tomorrow and see has it driven any performance yet.
And I suppose this has probably been a bit cynical, but it's the real world, is publishers are struggling all around to make money. They're selling less print. So actually, if they can generate commissions and revenue from the articles, they're going to feature that more prominently probably than they might just if it was a bit of PR, because it's as long as it's decent, good quality, useful for their readers. And I suppose now, Shanna, how much do you see as content versus the traditional sort of offers? Is it becoming more and more popular? How do you see it within the platform?
I think it's very dependent on which client you have. We have programs that will prefer a content only strategy, and we have clients that go with the full, well, I was going to say marketing mix, but like affiliate publisher types that there are. And then you can obviously see that content tends to be will have a smaller percentage of the overall kind of amount of sales and revenue. So it depends, but I think in general, it is definitely something that advertisers are focusing on, and it is no longer, I think something that you saw like, maybe 8 years ago or something, where they were like, no, we want cashback and discount codes only because those are the quick wins. And I do think that in general, advertisers are investing in the content side of it. And I know you're going to come on to influencers later, but influencers come, under that as well, because obviously they put out content.
I was thinking a minute ago, we should get you back for our attribution call as well, because you seem to be very knowledgeable on the attribution stuff. Well, should we pick up the influence thing? So I think a lot of people think influencers is more sort of organic social, and it's all sort of hashtag ad, and we've got to go get one of the Kardashians to try our product. But when Kim's not on answering your calls, right? How if I'm a medium-sized brand, I've never done any influencer marketing, how could I use affiliates to help me do that? Where would you start, Claudia?
Yeah, so firstly, if you're a medium brand, I would firstly start with, because there are so many influencers, like I mentioned on AWIN, it can be quite tedious kind of trawling through and seeing which are a good fit. But a good work around this, and a good way to kind of get your brand out to a lot of different influencers and really test the waters, is to use influencer sub-networks. So the main ones kind of on AWIN are LTK, formerly known as Reward Style, and also Metapic. So with these, you can basically set your brand up on this platform, and then all of the influencers that are live on there can actually see your brand, and they can pick up your affiliate links. So you can run kind of gifting campaigns with ones that you feel are a really good fit with your brand and you want to push even further. You can run like commission increases for them and any of the products that they sell. You can also look at, if any are performing really well, you can then look at kind of investing a bit more with them if you wanted to invest like a flat fee and run more of a campaign with them. There's obviously the option to just scour AWIN and look at those kind of smaller micro influencers as well, which within AWIN you can like filter out by kind of content type and also industry. So if you're a fashion brand, you could look at just fashion influencers, but a really good way to kind of get your brand out there, and one that I would recommend would be kind of these influencer sub-networks, especially if you're not.
If I'm I don't know, a trainer brand and I want to get out there, how can I control my brand? How can I control what they do? Do I give them, do I have to speak to them all individually, or do I upload? What do I do in terms of, from a practical point of view? What's the hard bit for me?
Yep, of course. So I'll take Metapic as an example. So within Metapic, you can actually approve the influencers that can pick up your affiliate links. So you can go in and you can see all the influencers that have actually applied. So it's not just a case of you putting your brand out there and then anyone could pick up a link, because obviously, you want to make sure they're a good fit for you and you're not just kind of promoting through influencers that, don't fit your demographic. So you can approve them in there and then work on gifting campaigns. So you can provide them with an exclusive discount code that works on your site, and they can get, they can provide that to their followers, and also you can gift them as well. And then you can see all of the posts that they posted and how all of that is performing within the interface. Okay,
and then would you, and this might not be, I don't know if this is it, I'm going to get a raised eyebrow from AWIN or not, so apologies now. But if you find an influencer that's working well and you're the brand, would you go, well, should you say, well, why don't we do a broader brand deal, or do things like that? Because I imagine a lot of this is the smaller influencers who've got really engaged users, but maybe haven't got big reach. And it's probably the start of something. Or do you have a separate sort of social media and PR campaign later? How does it tend to work?
Is that a question for me, John?
Yeah, well, I was going to say,
you fell away for us. You fell away for a second, so I didn't get the first part of it.
No, I was just going to say, because people often start with affiliates and get their influencers. Does it get to a point where the brand might decide to go direct or do something else? And I suppose, how would you?
Usually not, because if they've started through us, it's in the contract that they're not allowed. But...
Right. No, well, that's what I was thinking. Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
So not so much a raised eyebrow, but there's usually something in the contract. Obviously anything pre-existing can be different, and that's up for discussion. But usually, like once a partnership, like we've introduced them to it, in general, they should be going through AWIN, unless is something that should be discussed with the commercial team.
Yeah, no, and what a question just coming from the audience, and we'll stay with you, Shanna, is what do you see now is the sort of ratio between cashback, discount, then comparison and content site, and then influencer. If you're looking at a mix, if you had like, I know it's difficult because every client's different.
Yeah, exactly.
If you were to look at a straw poll, what would a sort of, is it 50% cashback, 50%, 20% content, 30% influencers? What's the sort of good mix people could be thinking about?
Very politically correct. No,
give us whatever.
No, not necessarily politically correct, but I think, and this is also the best advice that I can give any advertiser, I think the best kind of way percentage wise is to ensure that obviously you're always going to have like some of the types that are smaller, right? Or very, very small, and you have like a minor one. But what you always want to do for a program is ensure that if you decide to stop working with cashback, that your program remains standing. So that means you need to balance it with other types. That is the most important thing. Now, as for exact percentages, I think it's very, very difficult to say. I think I have seen them up to like 20, 30% if you have like really, really engaged kind of client with a really good strategy, you know, like consistent campaigns running with influencers, you know, those kind of things. But that can be any, and it very much depends on how they run the rest of the program, of course, and you know, which types of publishers is it that they put their money in. And also sometimes it's the brand, you know, some brands will work better with influencers just because it's more of the nature that's, you know, it's outdoor, it's a little bit more receptive perhaps, or might I say more popular even. You know, and those kind of things just match better with influencers. Having said that, I do think that any brand can and probably should be running influencers.
Are there any companies who sell online where affiliates won't work?
No, as long as you're dedicated and you have some budget and you're open. Yeah, like if you have an open mind and go with like you know, either strategy, you know, provided by us or options or whatever that is, and then no, I do think it can work for any program. What makes it difficult, I think, if they're going to say like, oh, they're a very niche program, perhaps, that then also wants to be like very, very niche on maybe content only. That means just you're narrowing it down after narrowing it down after narrowing it down. And I think especially those advertisers benefit from having that open mind. And I think it's one of the most rewarding things is when you actually get a client like that and they're like, you know, we're really niche, but we're open to anything. And you come up with options that they haven't really thought of. You know, that could be influencers, that could be any tech kind of publisher, you know, anything like that. And you really hone in on that attribution model and advice, and they then pick up on that and you see the program grow. That is usually the most rewarding. Like I still, after so many years, I still like seeing that.
Yeah. And if I'm a retailer and Claudia, and I know there's lots of different numbers, but how much of my sort of contribution would we say affiliates would make to my site revenue? So I've never done affiliates before. I see this as an opportunity. What do you think after the first 12 months is a reasonable percentage?
Well, the goal for an affiliate campaign is I always see it at 20% of your total site revenue. Obviously, that's not going to be achieved overnight. So hopefully by the end of the first year, I mean, depending on what other marketing channels you're using, because affiliates kind of needs to sit in alongside kind of other channels like paid social and PPC, and not just be used in silo and just switched on, and hopes kind of for revenue to pour in. I think obviously brand awareness comes into it a lot as well, because a lot of the time brands who perhaps don't have that high brand awareness think, oh, I'll work with affiliates to build brand awareness. But if you don't have that budget behind it, then it's hard to kind of make up their revenue mix. But 20% is always the goal that I would work towards and hope to have by the end of the year. I mean, it depends what their kind of overall revenue is.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's.
But is it easier when they're smaller, or is it harder when they're smaller?
It depends. If they're smaller and they've not got high brand awareness and not got any budget behind and just want to focus on content, then it is tricky, because content, they require higher commission just because of the amount of work it takes. A lot of them require tenancy fees as well, and without having that brand awareness, a lot of, you know, some content sites, if there's really high brand awareness, for a certain brand, they might do something for a much discounted price, but you're not going to get that with a smaller brand because they think, well, I'm taking a bit of a risk here because I might not actually get any commission from the article that I'm pushing out here because people might not convert if they're not really aware of the brand. So that is, I say, tricky, but then you've also got a lot of room to grow a brand if it is smaller. There's kind of a lot more rewards than if you kind of take on a bigger brand where it might have reached kind of not its peak, but it's kind of nearing that peak of how much you can actually get out of the affiliates at the moment. Obviously, affiliate marketing is ever changing, so there's always going to be new opportunities that are there.
Yeah. Okay. And if we were to talk about right, so overlays, right? So there's lots of things that I think people don't realize they can also pay for using affiliates. And what if we were to talk about certain things like there's, I think, intently and increasingly and different tech opportunities, how do they work? And I suppose what's the opportunities, but what are the things to make sure you don't do so to avoid any pitfalls? And what you can answer that, Claudia, while Shauna's moving around.
Yeah,
we'll get a tour of Disney. I'm very excited about it. The viewers are going to go through the roof now. We might get a bill from Disney for this. So I suppose tech overlays, what are they? How can we access them through affiliates? And I suppose also we've seen things in the past from clients where they've had problems. What are the pitfalls to avoid?
Yeah, definitely. So tech overlays. So what this is basically plugging onto your website that can be put in through Awin and also through an affiliate network. And one of the most common ones is, say if somebody's on your site, they've been browsing for a bit, maybe put something in a basket, but they're not checking out, and then they go and their mouse kind of hovers over and they're about to click the X, a pop-up will come up and say, here's a discount code, 10% off, blah, blah, blah. So to try and push them over the line and make that purchase. So that is a very common one that a lot of people set up, which that brings into question the incrementality of it, because if somebody was leaving and they were only now actually going to purchase because they've got a discount code, really is that incremental? So also, they might have been clicking off, to research something else, or they might have been coming back anyway. So we actually had a client that set up one of these overlays and targeted every single customer that went onto their website. So every single customer that went on their website, whenever they went to click off, they were presented with a discount code, which obviously made them a lot of money, but also a lot of money in commissions that they had to pay to this overlay. There are ways.
It could have been giving discounts to people who are going to buy anyway as well.
Yeah. So it's again raising the question of incrementality, but there is a way of working with these overlays that you can actually, make it a bit more incremental. So you can just target certain demographics of users. You can also target people based on which page they're on, based on which pages they've viewed. Give them only kind of an offer based on the product that they've viewed on the site. Give them an offer based on their average order value previously, only give offers to new customers. So there is a lot that you can do, but obviously if it's just switched on for every single customer, it does result in a lot of commission, and also really is it that incremental, because they might have been purchasing anyway. They might have just been hovering over it. Some customers, I think, are clocking on as well to the fact that these overlays exist, so might just even be testing the waters to see if they'll get one.
Yeah. And how, from an Awin point of view, how do the overlays work from your side? Is it you introduce them and then they get a bit of money, you get a bit of money? Because ultimately, I suppose the benefit for the retailer is they don't have a massive fee up front to install some tech. They just pay a commission if the tech works. Is that the general gist of it?
We have several partners. Also, sorry for the disturbance there, because
it's fine.
There's a bee's nest that they were moving, so they were kicking me out, and they've been staring at me for 20
It
years.
all adds to we're gonna go viral after this. It's brilliant.
Should have gone in front of the castle. No, so we just have different partners that we work with depending on which one the client decides that they want to work with. Intently is one of the big ones that we work with as well, and I'm sure many people know that name. And the fee, we don't we're not involved there. We just have the contract with the advertiser.
Right. Okay.
And that's different. And as far as we're concerned, any kind of tech partner tends to work the same way that other types of affiliates work. So where they would normally work in CPA, that could be the same for Intently. And then we're not involved in that part. It's not like we're just suddenly going to cut that CPA and be like, oh, 60% for Intently and 40% is for us.
Right, yeah,
Like, that we stay out of that. If we carry forward it, or suggest a tech partner, then that will just be the normal kind of affiliate way that you
Right.
do.
And it's relatively easy, straightforward to set up once you've got
Yeah.
the commercials in place.
It's often plug and play, and I think a lot of tech partners these days, they work through our master tag. So if an advertiser has the master tag, it is literally plug and play. It's super easy to set up, and I think it helps a lot of clients as well, because that means that there's no additional dev time from their end.
Yeah, well, I think
So
that's the
we go
big
with
thing is integration time. It comes out of a different budget. You're not
Yes.
buying. You're not buying.
No,
a load
and then
of
you
tech
have to
up
get
front.
in. Yeah, and then you have to get into a queue and a dev queue, and before you know it, you're a year down the line. So anything that's master tag, if the client already has a master tag, it's just a lot easier, because then there's so many partners that you can just set them up with quickly.
Yeah. Okay. Well, one thing we work with a lot of luxury brands, and we often get asked, people think, well, affiliates is more for the sort of fast and cheaper brands. What examples of approaches, because I know we've made it work before, Claudia, for luxury, how do you approach it differently, and where would you start for, say, a luxury brand?
Yeah, I think, like you say, there is need a different approach. But I think for every brand there is going to be a different approach. But obviously with luxury, when they're not wanting to focus on discount and cashback, is looking at kind of the content, like I said earlier, but also brand partnerships. So that's a big one. That I know Awin have recently really started to kind of hammer home and set up their own like platforms that enable you to work on brand partnerships, but working with brands that kind of very similar to you and kind of piggybacking off their brand awareness and their customer base and promoting your brand. So you can do this with offers, but obviously that probably wouldn't be a good fit for a luxury brand. But there's lots of different things that you can do in terms of, providing perhaps like a free gift, or, just something to kind of get your brand out there in another way that's not just kind of cashback, and also utilizing the brand awareness of another luxury brand as well. So really tag teaming, and then both brands are getting the benefit out of it as well. And that all tracks the way in. And the brand that's promoting you just gets commission from your sales.
Brilliant. Right.
Yeah, I think I may have something nice to add to that, if I may.
Yeah, no, go for it.
What we've done in the past, this was before I worked at Awin, but the program wasn't Awin, is that we organize, like the way you would do an affiliate day. This was before COVID, when these were still very normal to have in person, and these days it's quite often a little bit of a hybrid form. But and this was a luxury brand as well, whereby we organized that day and had everyone come into London on almost like a curated list of people, influencers that we wanted to work with. And the people of that brand were there then too. We had goodie bags, they did intros, like what does the brand actually stand for? And then there was a part, from us at the agency at that point, where can we help you? And how does affiliate marketing work? And that was really well received as well. So maybe a nice one if you're just starting out.
Yeah, no, and I think that also ties in with the whole influencer piece, and also talking. I think there probably needs to be more face-to-face communication with building those relationships with all the different affiliates, because again, we've all got used to doing this. But I suppose one big thing with all this is measurement, and I suppose attribution on all of this. And I know sort of Awin are really strong on all of the attribution. So how would you go about recommending attribution to prove that all this is adding value? Where would you start?
Is that one for me?
Yeah, that's yeah.
Figured as much since you said Awin. Yeah, obviously, I think while affiliates in general is a works on a last click model, a couple of things I've already mentioned. Like the first click or the assist. We really look at that. So I think ideally we would advise any advertiser to look at a multi-touch attribution model. And this is just purely because affiliates are involved in each part of the journey. So to the point of this webinar, they're not goal hangers, if you ask me. But it's for me, yeah. I think it's just to ensure that you reward those who have just contributed to whichever sale that is, in a very fair way. And however you distribute that, I think is up to you. Like in terms of wanting to weigh that percentage. I think single view is a handy tool to get an overview. It's obviously part of AWIN. And then I think after you decided to and implemented that multi-touch attribution model, I think you need to look carefully at deduping. So deduping, a lot of advertisers use GA only, dedupe, against GA, and sometimes we see some issues there, I think. But in general, I think you want to make sure that you follow the best practice guidelines that we offer as AWIN. So there's certain channels that we're like, okay, these ones are fine to dedupe against, but others, because of the way it works, like we would advise not to. And then I think deduping is just constantly evolving. And I feel like it's very fluid, right? So we become more savvy, especially, tech makes us more savvy. And that's where I think that attribution model and the multi-touch journey and everything comes into play. And I think the most important thing then is to realize that, as a little bit of a caveat, that yes, affiliate still works on last click. But if you reward the right sources in whichever form you do that, it does strengthen the relationship with your affiliates, which means you'll be able to build your program, you'll be able to build the relationships, and it means that you will be able to grow. So where you do pay two sources, and however weighted that is, it is really to recognize its value. And I think that's just one of the key points around the multi-attribution.
Yeah, no, I think it's like, and the other good thing about affiliates, if you move quickly, you can switch it on relatively quickly compared to other channels. So I think if those listening or watching this back later, it's like ahead of Black Friday and peak, you still can make a difference. And I've seen that with clients. So I would make sure you get all your tagging and tracking and everything is set up correctly. One thing that often makes people nervous about affiliates is what happens with my returns, what happens with cancelled orders. And I think people don't realize that actually, we can go through and we don't pay the ones that get returned, and there's a window of opportunity to reconcile all of that. And I think often people forget, and they think, we pay, and actually now, with, as you said, Shana, the tech makes that relatively easy. Doing all of that. So that's the quickest 45 minutes I think I've ever had, and I appreciated the little tour around Disney. But I suppose if I was either cynical about affiliates or new to affiliates, can you give me sort of 2 reasons each why we should be doing it? I'll then do a quick sum up and let you continue with your adventure, Shana. So I suppose what are your 2 sort of key takeaways about why I should be doing affiliates?
Yeah, I think so. I would say don't obviously just think that it is all discount and cash back. So as we've obviously spoken about, there's so many different opportunities out there, from content, influencers, closed groups, brand partnerships, and affiliate marketing will only just continue to grow, I think, as obviously everything else in digital continues to grow. So that would be my takeaway number 1. And then my takeaway number 2 is it's accessible for any brand as well. So don't be thinking, I've got to be, this kind of brand for affiliates to work. No, because you don't have to have the same strategy as other brands. You can have your own tailored strategy, as long as you've got a bit of budget to put behind it, as long as you're open-minded. There is definitely the opportunity out there for everyone.
Yeah.
Those are nice, Claudia.
Oh, sorry.
No, those are nice. No.
Oh, sorry. I thought you said those are mine.
No.
Okay, no, thank you.
One of them I had, but I'm a quick thinker. I like to think I'm a quick thinker, at least. I think to add to that is, like, if you are questioning incrementality, don't think the channel doesn't add incremental value. But if you have any worries about it, I would say look at it on an individual level and say, is this individual affiliate adding incremental value? Because if they're not, you can see what you can do about that affiliate. Whereas if you then switch off maybe the entire, sub channel, I would say, like the subtype, for example, discount codes or cashback, then you just rule out that entire type of publisher, which I would personally do, and I would really look at the individual affiliates. And I think when it comes to the second one, I am going to go with the ensure you have multi-touch attribution, and don't see it as, sometimes depending on how you weigh it, don't see it as paying for the same thing twice, but actually look at, you are rewarding those who have contributed to the sale and ultimately, hopefully, the growth of your company.
Yeah, and I suppose it's then understanding your metrics so you can bake in the cost of sale and work out what your marketing budget should be. So
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so hopefully that gave everybody some food for thought. We're going to be back here on the 16th of November talking all about the new Google Performance Max, and is it a good thing, is it a bad thing? Are Google just inventing black box technology to steal your money? So we'll be back to talk about that. And I'd just like to say thank you to Claudia and Shana for joining us. Enjoy the rest of your break. I only found out this morning, I think it was, that you were doing this, and I was like, wow, that's commitment. So
Yeah.
thank you very much. Sorry that you nearly got stung by loads of bees. And that's it. So thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, John. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, bye.
Bye.